Good morning. It is Monday morning of week 8, and this is the last week of our course on diversity in the workplace. And as I've been suggesting every week, this has been very interesting to me, been one of absolutely first-rate participation and discussion. Progress in our understanding of a very important topic in business, and in many ways it has been enjoyable for me, and I want to thank you all for your interest and your enthusiasm and your participation, and I just hoping that we got something out of it. I think I did, and my goal for most classes and most approaches is go in hoping that at least people will walk out at least once or twice saying, gee, I never thought of it that way before. And I've had a lot of hints that that's been happening. I've had some direct comments that that's been happening. And I think that is maybe the most important thing we could have accomplished, is to have brought about our awareness of a very important topic and its effects not only in business but in all the different interactions we have within the communities and the groups and the people around us. After all, it's a reflection of the fact that everyone is different from everybody else in some way. And the appreciation of those differences is what can make for success, and almost a perversion of those differences can be so destructive and so damaging to organizations and to communities and to life as a whole. One of the things I think you may have noticed, may or may not have noticed throughout the course is, but when we approach a discussion, in many ways I like to sit back and ask questions and stay out of it in terms of giving you my opinion, my position on an issue, because I really don't want to prejudice the discussion in any way. Unfortunately, I've had the experience where I found that if the instructor injects their position, their thought, their opinion too early, in particular in the week, then a lot of students just go ahead and echo that position, figuring, oh, if I agree with the instructor, I'll be fine. When actually in many cases, I'm hoping you disagree with what I think, and that's why I avoid talking about it to some degree. But today's video, being the last one, I'm going to be a little different. I'm going to give you two different looks at week 7 and week 8 and what I think about the topic right up front. So week 7, yeah, it works. It's too late. You've already voiced your opinion as well, but I'm going to voice mine. And week 8, maybe I'm voicing it too early, but this is a compressed week, so we have to remember we're going to get things done. And let me start with really week 8. We're talking this week very briefly. We give you some reading, some resources, and ask you to say, what's the value of diversity to a business, to an organization? And talk about the value. I think there's tremendous value myself, but one thing I would like everybody to remember, and I'm speaking more from my experience than from any text, that I believe very firmly that there are some things that go on in organizations that just reflect general human nature. But after being in management and in business and in academics for what is getting perilously close to half a century now, I have some very strong opinions. And one of them is about how organizations behave. And I do believe there's 3 basic things that happen. One is that management is cause, all else is effect. It's what the management sets for a tone and for an atmosphere, an environment that really determines how we behave. Second is that things that get measured are things that get managed. If we don't measure them, people tend to ignore them. If I didn't grade papers, guess what? Would people be careful in writing them? If we didn't grade discussion boards, would people be attentive to the content? No, it wouldn't happen. And the other thing is, behavior that gets rewarded gets repeated. It's very simple, but people tend to follow what they get rewarded for they shy away from those things that either get ignored or may actually get punished. And actually, the extension of that is that behavior, maybe negative behavior, that doesn't get punished, well, that's a form of reward, so it gets repeated. And what I'm suggesting here is, management sets the tone. Management directs the culture. Which leads me back to Unit 7, where we talked about training and development and assessment and all that kind of stuff. And I think in last week's video I started off by saying, well, as soon as you say diversity training, people roll their eyes and say, oh my God, here it comes. Well, I'll go to it because I have to. And one thing about training that I've always believed is there's a problem with training, and that training we tend to do as isolated events. And there's a problem with events. Events occur and they end. And then we just go back to our daily routine. All right? If we really want to affect change in an organization or in behavior or in understanding, we have to engage in a process of development, which is far different than training. It may include training, but it includes reinforcement, it includes actions on a daily basis, it includes an understanding of what our goals are, and it includes an understanding of what the vision for the organization is. And too often we don't do that because we get caught up in the daily events. And just what I'm going to suggest here is that, we can do all the diversity training we want, but if we don't have in the organization a culture of accepting diversity and a culture of inclusion, guess what? All the training in the world isn't going to make a difference if we don't think that management and key members of the organization believe in it. And if they don't believe in it, it's not going to happen. Or they don't see the importance of it, it's not going to happen. And that is the one thing I really just want to inject here. When people talked about training programs, they're great, they're wonderful. And you can see almost, I said it almost dismissively. If they're not backed up by the culture, they're not worth doing. You have to have sincerity. Another thing that I really believe that in any organization, the four most important words that you can say, going up the chain, down the chain, sideways to your colleagues, whatever, to your customers, to your employees, whatever, are these four words. What do you think? Wow. Very simple, right? If you mean that you're really interested in what somebody else thinks, they're very powerful. If you say that and then just go ahead and ignore it, then it's lip service and it doesn't make a damn bit of difference. All right? That's my opinion. That's what I think about these 2 weeks. I think they're a great way to wrap up. I think they're wonderful things that we need to talk about. But in the end, it comes down to culture. Culture is a reflection of collective behavior, and behavior is a reflection of collective understanding. If that doesn't happen, then our efforts are going to be futile. Hate to end on just mechanical issues, but just remember now that it is week 8. We are on a compressed schedule. Many of you still have got some things to do that we talked about, and I understand everybody's reasons for them. Make sure we get everything done by Saturday. I do have to get the grades in right away to accommodate our new systems. Unfortunate, but I have to do it. And I would like to thank once again everybody for your cooperation, for your participation, for your enthusiasm and your interest. And I certainly hope we all got something out of it. Thank you again. Look forward to maybe working with some of you again in the future. I certainly look forward to teaching this course again, and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.